Today's guest is Daniel Cerventus Lim, a serial entrepreneur and community builder who has been in the game for over 2 decades. He's the founder of one of Southeast Asia's largest entrepreneur communities and has worked with global giants. But as Daniel discovered, a long track record of success can be its own trap. He found himself on a path paved with past wins, only to realize it was leading to a dead end. He was blinded by his own success, ironically, and it nearly cost him his momentum. Today, we're talking about the success trap, the dangerous belief that what worked before will work again, and how it can lead to ignore those red flags in front of us. We're going to dive into the hard lessons Daniel's learnt from having to take over failing projects, the painful reality of the sunken cost fallacy, and why he now believes that sometimes the smartest move is to give up fast. Daniel, welcome to the pod.
Hey, good to be on the pod actually.
Yeah, second iteration. You were on like the old honey never sleeps, and now we've got you back in for the founder fuck ups. Daniel, obviously you've had a successful career, and I think when we were talking before, you said that treating success as a teacher was a bit of a mistake, right? Can you take us back to a time when you were so confident in your past wins that you actually walked right into one of these traps?
I think this is very common, especially with a lot of entrepreneurs, and we are stuck in whatever works. Sometimes whatever works is only work to a certain point of view. Case in point, a lot of entrepreneurs do not grow their business because they do not try new things, and as they say, failure is the biggest teacher. That's why you got the founder effort to actually learn from failure. Success is
Exactly.
success is not a indeed good indicator for future success. Things change and things move, but at the same time, I think that it's always this mindset that you are stuck in certain things that, oh, because I'm doing this, and you pigeonhole yourself into certain things, and
Mm.
for the for the longest time, I always think like, hey, you know what? I'm a I'm a tech guy. I like technology and etc. But the businesses that I much more interested now are no longer tech. They are boring businesses. And it's something that I would never have imagined if I were to talk to the version of me 20 years back, basically.
Time out, guys. Lots of you are watching. Lots of you are learning from the founder fuck ups that we've all gone through. But please do me one little teeny favor and subscribe so that we can keep growing the channel and get more great founders on. Back to the episode. Yeah, I think I kind of understand that, right? If you pigeonhole yourself into only doing one thing, you lose sight or lose the chance to go after other opportunities. And obviously, you know, even now, like the innovation of change and the pace of that change is just dramatically growing. So like when like again, if we go back, was there like a trap you walked into then? Was it just you did pigeon yourself too much? Was that where it all began?
I think it's not entirely me, but what I see as an investor is, bless you.
Thank you.
I want to say it's not entirely me. I see as an investor, I do see a lot of entrepreneurs, especially there are bigger opportunities to try, and they are just really, really, they're really, really stuck with whatever they set up to do.
Yeah.
What we tend to see these days are businesses that are known as like zombie startups. The startups are fast growing businesses, zero to 100 in a short period of time, and scaling. A lot of these businesses, what they tend to do is that they take in capital and like, you know what, with the next 3 to 5 years, we're gonna scale and etc. But it's already a decade. It's already a decade, and they're still trying to find. Maybe they are break even, so they are very comfortable. Maybe they are. The indication of success will show them like, yeah, actually this business work, but at the same time, is this a business that you want to invest 10 years of your life into? This is a business you want to do 20 years of your life. I think that was something that when early on, we started one of my business early on, that was a accidental event company. Like, we were running so many
An
events.
accidental event.
Yeah, it was after my first exit. I wanted to do something with MDEC, which is the Malaysian Digital, and they were like, you know what,
Yeah.
Daniel, you can't invoice us as a individual. Set up a company, and that company evolved into an event business. We end up running a couple of conferences. We end up taking over the KL Convention Center, and to a point that I was looking at my business partner, it's like, dude, we are good at this. We are definitely really, really good at this. Do you want to do this at all? Do you want to like? That was the by indication of our success. We were making money. We were getting clients. In fact, clients were referring to us that we had to say goodbye to some of our biggest clients just because, like, you know what, this is burning our like like it's like lighting a match at our soul, basically. Yeah.
So you had to let go of customers because of the
Yes.
event, or because the events were going so well. You're like, we just can't work with the corporates
The
anymore.
events were going so well that we were doing a bit of a hindsight because I think there was a month that I think we were doing more than 20 events in a
Wow.
month. Yeah, I cannot recall the exact number. It's closer to 30, and
Wow.
multiple teams running multiple stuff, and we were like, is this the life that we want to set up to? It's like I I don't have sleep. I don't have, and this is the result of success, basically.
Yeah.
And if I were to extrapolate that like as we grow our business further, I don't think we can sustain health wise. And truly, eventually my health gave up. That's something that my health gave up. And if success is the indicator, if the success is the indicator of what, but we need to figure out, or we need to find a way to redefine what we think is success for us, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it should be hyper personal. I think a lot of times people are looking at perhaps different entrepreneurs or different people in their lives to, maybe have the nice car or what have you. I was kind of associating entrepreneurship a little bit like with sport.
Mhm.
You have I mean, let's say you've got a Messi or a Ronaldo or a Roger Federer, right? These are absolutely great, talented, natural talented individuals who also have the grit, the determination, and the absolute will to succeed. And you have that in entrepreneurs as well, like that high level. And then you
Mhm.
have your kind of run of the mill footballers who are professional, they're playing in the Premier League, but you and I don't know their name. Right. They're highly skilled, they're good individuals. And sometimes we've got to know what lane we're in. I also one of the kind of issues that came from kind of chasing that success you mentioned was, having to take over projects that you thought should have been working and you kind of get fallen in. And I think you mentioned to me the challenges of working with like the Gen Alpha. What was like a specific project where you had to take over completely? And how did, I guess, the generational differences in work ethic or communication style just literally contribute to that breakdown?
I think my 2025, we are at 2026. My 2025 is divided into two chunks. The
Okay.
half of the year I was really optimistic, super super optimistic. Second half of the year I was like, what the hell happened? I think it's something that I have to learn. Something that there was a bunch of youth that came in and wanted to try to revive a license that I was running for a while. They want to take over, and I was like, cool. As long do you have a plan, and they give this tremendous, highly detailed plan. Like, okay, we're gonna do this, we can do that, and extra, super articulate. And I was looking to myself, my God, these kids are like 16 to 20. I was thinking when I was 16, was I so good? I don't think I was like a fraction of how they were, basically, in terms of how they
You'd
articulated the
have a,
plan. Maybe AI, but I mean, you're still using a tool. Basically, you still have to present.
yeah,
And you question them, they know their stuff. And I was like, okay, I will, let's put them in charge of stuff, and I give them little experiments to test out before the main event. And I think this is a thing of me coming out of retirement that I haven't worked with a lot of people for the last 6, 7 years, basically.
yeah,
My retirement was like, okay, I'll help out and etc. The key lesson learned for me is there's a term called the strawberry generation, and I think our parents will call us the strawberry generations. Basically, it's like, oh, we don't have grit and
Every
we don't.
generation says that about the generation below them. Most probably.
Yeah, but this is really really it's such a I mean it's something I could learn to manage better, but it's such a eye opening uh it's such an eye-opening thing to look at them. Is on one hand they are so smart, they are so articulate, they have so much access to knowledge and too, but at the same time they when they hit a roadblock, they hit a minor bump, they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is beyond my capability, therefore I will quit. And I was like, wait, what's going on? This is, let me share, it's not something too challenging. Basically, it's like, let's say you want to invite a speaker and then the speaker say no, and yeah, and it's as trivial as that, basically.
So the issue when working with this other generation was basically they hit a roadblock and they gave up too easily or too quickly. And in our view, it's like, hey, look, this is part of the journey. You're going to face challenges. You're going to have a guest who says no. Hey, look, I get it. Like, I'm getting asking guests to come on and be vulnerable and share fuck ups, right? And there are people who say no. And so what you're saying is this generation, when they hear no, they're like, oh my God, well, we have to
Yeah,
stop.
I know that is that's why that comes back to the point. Success is not a good teacher, basically,
Mm,
because all their program is the TikTok generation. Unfortunately, it's like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. It's just the positive dopamine hit over there. I'm sure in school it's like, oh yeah, but no one said no to them, and that's a
yeah.
good that's a good lesson, learned for a lot
Yeah.
of people.
So then you get into these projects like you've started and you start to kind of get that. Do you think you start to get a bit of a sunk cost fallacy where you've invested time or energy with these groups and now you're having to take over? Was there kind of a moment where you knew you should have probably given up on a project?
I think I was evaluating this a lot last year, and it's not only from my point of view, looking at again looking at some of the companies that potentially for acquisition and etc. It's like, yeah, a lot of founders should have given up early on, and that frees up resources to do stuff. Uh, I know it's very weird to. Do you know who is it's not John Scully, it's one of the former CEO of Apple, and he has this whole weird
Okay.
analogy of, so it's after John Scully before Steve Jobs. What's his name? Oh man, he's not well remembered in history. He has this analogy of Apple is like a boat. There's a hole, but the boat has treasure and etc. And if you were in a situation, if you're in that there's this major sunk cost fallacy. It's like, where is the point to give up? So now I have to question myself with the kids. It's like, they don't have any sunk cost fallacy, so giving up is very easy.
Because once you invested blood, sweat, tears, capital, it's so much harder to like step away and you kind of keep, in some cases, you're like digging a hole. If you're in a bad position, you're like digging that hole
Yeah.
deeper just to try and get out of it, shooting for
No,
Hail Marys,
yeah, and
you know.
if you look
Have,
at if you look at the VC return in Southeast Asia, basically,
yeah.
there's only two VC firms that have positive return. I think, yeah, two. If I
Mm,
recall correctly, there's only two VC,
wow.
and
No wonder why
yet,
it's raised.
yeah, people are still
Yeah.
pouring money into it. It's like, just because, well, you know what, we want to build a unicorn. The It's something I guess with that I'm learning from the new generation, especially I'm learning from people who are doing vibe coding and stuff like that. Once you build a certain project and then you know what, it doesn't work, there's no traction, burn it.
Yeah. Not, you don't kind of continue to reiterate. I think as well, like we're in that gold rush era of startups.
Mm.
We're not in a golden age, but we're in a gold rush era. And so, you know, it's like prospectors. They'll go and prospect a few rocks, then find and move on. I guess a lot of that's happening. And I guess now when you think back of, because, you know, one lesson that we're going to hopefully get to a bit later is the, the art of kind of giving up, the art of like, hey, time to back off. What red flags do you look for to tell you actually it's time to give up?
Seth Godin has a book called The Dip, basically, and successful people give up a lot. So, this is my contradiction with the youth. Basically, are they giving up too fast, or are they giving up too slow? So this is the way where we what there's a path. So when you look at the graph, it's like the Dunning effect. still beginner, you learn a lot, and then all of a sudden you think you're expert, but then it comes to still then there's a bit of a dip, and before you that's the trough of sorrow, and after that you end up having mastery. And one of the things that one of the things that which I do not know whether the youth actually is a better teacher for that, because they give up so fast, is the fact that if you want to be the best in the world, let's say you want to what's something that you want to be the best in, basically back
What do I want to be the best at?
yeah.
Podcasting.
Well, so you want to be the best podcaster in the world, there are a lot of things you will need to give up, basically.
Uh,
Maybe your side hobby of cooking, basically, or etc. So there's just a lot
okay.
of there's a lot of indicator of one being clear what is the final outcome. If your final outcome is like, look, I want to be the best podcaster in the world, yeah, this is the pathway. But some people are not clear. Some people outside, oh, I just want to make money. And if they just want to make money, then there are so many other pathways to that. For example, one of the reasons I didn't give up on the event is basically I was basically left to salvage that event for about a month. I just wanted to
Mm,
prove to the kids, is like, look, like kind of screw
yeah,
you. This is doable, you know. But
it was through you, but it was also a teaching. You were trying to show, like, look, a little bit more grit. Like you
mm,
do give up the right moment, but don't give up on like light friction, like
yeah.
or like natural roadblocks that you're going to receive. Give up because the market or the project is not something that can work. It's not sustainable because we've figured that out, rather than giving up because one speaker says no.
Yeah, but perhaps it could be sustainable, but again, you need to question yourself. Is it worth your time?
Is it worth your time? Right? Is it worth? Yeah, fair, fair. I
That
think I
is
remember.
all. Sorry, you're saying?
Yeah, I was given an opportunity to help a startup that was in an incredibly volatile, not volatile industry, but if their startup succeeded, it would have great impact on agriculture. And I was really interested in helping. And then the way they wanted to reward me in terms of like an equity, I was looking at the time it would take for any of this equity to actually play out. And if they were worth $100 million, I might make, say, 400,000. And I was looking at that and I was like, and that, unlike like very long shot that they would, and it would probably take 10 plus years. And I was like, it's just not worth it. And then you're like, because that's 40K a year, but
Yeah.
that's not actually having that kind of view. I ended up backing out, even though it was really exciting, but it just wasn't the right timeline for me. So I think I understand what you're talking about,
Yeah.
knowing when to cut.
Yeah. It's basically I think I mentioned this a lot of time where if you say like business is MMA, whatever works for whatever works for whatever. As long as it works for you, it works. From opening
As long as
a
it works for
solo
you.
But from opening a cafe doesn't mean that the success of opening a cafe doesn't mean you can scale up to opening something like Zeus Coffee, multiple 500 branch cafes chain, basically. So
Very different
it's,
skill set, right? Very skill set,
the,
operational need, but also the want and the need, like like you said, if your goal is just to make money, there are
yes,
many ways to do that, and I think Zeus they were trying to e-commerce coffee, right?
yeah.
And make high quality, affordable coffee for people. And they had a very different vision to the guys who were starting that one cafe, who are probably a bit more artisan, right? And as soon as you start opening 10, 20 branches, is the artistry of coffee, right?
So that's where you look at what you have to give up, basically.
The sacrifice.
The sacrifice. If you there is a sacrifice. I mean, Zeus does serve good coffee, but they are not like the
Artist.
world barista champion, single origin bean from one tiny little farm in Guatemala type of coffee. They have to give that up, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at that, I think it's not just the businesses that you have to sacrifice for your niche, for where you're working in. But I think as a founder, we also have to make a lot of sacrifices to be the founder that we want to be. What are
Yeah.
some of the sacrifices perhaps you've made in your own life to go through the ventures and the way and the life that you chose? So what personal sacrifices perhaps did you make?
I think the joke is always like my number one advice is always to get a job, and I never had a job. And I think that is, look, as I mentioned, a lot of zombie startup, the founders should actually just quit and just get a job. the trap is you are doing well enough that you're like, you know what, maybe one more year, maybe one more year, maybe one more year. And when you look
Mm.
back, that is like, this is like 10 years of your life, basically.
And then I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, like 10 years go by. And what have you lost in your life after 10, when you're doing that for 10 years? Like, what
Yeah.
things have you missed out on that, like, people who have got a job got to do?
Yeah. Personally for me, it's my health. I think
Mm.
running a group of companies chip away a lot of, we were trying to get the big clients, the multi-year projects, the mega corporations and etc. And I think you and I know the agency business is uh, you're always, it's a high touch business and that chip away a lot of,
Yeah.
yeah.
If anyone who watches this episode has watched our previous episode, like, the difference between me running an agency and not running an agency, you'll see in the camera. Like, because I'm a lot slimmer, I'm a lot
Yeah.
healthier. That's the difference, right? I completely agree that sacrifice of health, because you're working the late hours. You can't like spend time thinking, oh, I've got to buy this food. You're just too busy. You don't have the same level of willpower when it gets to 10 p.m. and you're thinking, what am I going to have for dinner? When am I going to go and exercise? All these things get sacrificed. I think, and in some cases, people sacrifice their personal, like, social lives, their family life, because you get so engrossed. Everybody wants to be Elon Musk, but they don't want to have Elon Musk's life. They just want his wealth. You know what I mean?
A lot of times, there was well, I want to say this is Kai Lopez, not a fan, but I think he mentioned like the people who actually, but there's a truth in terms of some of the stuff he said. Like the amount of sacrifice you need to be a billionaire is crazy, basically, and that level of sacrifice you need to do to actually hit that. And for someone like Ty Lopez, like, you know what? Enough. This is according to him, I'm just paraphrasing for him. This is enough. Like, like 10, 20 million to 50 million. I'm done. I'm good.
What's enough?
I'm,
Yeah, and, and
eh,
and someone like Elon Musk, he doesn't have a number of what's enough. He just wants to put people on Mars, and he's going to do whatever the fuck it takes to do it. Like, that's his life, and this is kind of what I was talking about before, about like, you've got your Messis and your Ronaldos. That's
mm.
it. That's everything. Look, football, 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 football. They sacrifice everything else around them. They don't give a shit. They have, I'm the best, and you can even see it like, and you hear stories about them at camps and things, that they were pretty like, hey, you catch up with me. You've watched the Michael Jordan
Yeah, yeah,
basketball
yeah.
document. How he's a bit of an arsehole, right? But he's the
No, no,
GOAT.
no. He is such an asshole because like he plays like there's nothing else but basketball until he decided to do golf and baseball. But yeah, it's
Winning.
just winning,
I think that's it, right? Like, for the athlete, it's just winning. And
winning
so,
at
like I
all
said, the
costs.
different entrepreneurs, yeah, and different entrepreneurs have, there are the folks that, 20 million, comfortable life. I'm going to retire early. That's okay. And then there are others that, hey, I'm going the venture backable way. And look, your retirement's not happening. You've learned to give up fast, right? And I think for many founders, that's a bit of a big pill to swallow, right? Because all the talk is like grit, determination, never give up, persevere, etc. And I think there is a time to give up, and then there is a time to push through. Do you kind of have like perhaps a framework in your mind that goes, okay, now is the time to push, now is the time to not give up, versus now is the time to give up? Do you have like if you were to give this to a founder who's watching, what framework could they follow?
I think one of the things again you have to have a bit more clarity in terms of what you want in your life. So it's really a good audit, like what you want in your business and what you. I think work-life balance is a scam for entrepreneurs basically.
Doesn't
You need to find, you need to just build your own, basically. Some businesses would not allow you. I asked a question in my community recently. What's the longest period of time you can actually get away from your business and not do anything?
um,
The longest I saw was 8 years. This gentleman wrote eight,
wow.
8 years. I'm like,
Now
bravo,
that's a
sensei.
true exit.
That like sensei, like
True exit.
teach me. But so many of them, 1 hour, can't
Wow.
leave. and etc. And
Yeah.
that's the level of sacrifice. Like that's really a level of sacrifice. Some say, oh, because he reached a certain scale. Yes and no. I know hawker store owners that hire people who to run their fried rice store, and they just work like to do the prep, and they don't even run the day to day, basically. So it's
Yeah.
really the sense. But what you want to try to do once you have that clarity, and then you do else if or else statement over this. If this doesn't hit this by then, you know what? This is it, basically.
Okay.
So you
So know what your is, like what you actually want, like have a good eye, like in one way you could say my number or like my lifestyle that I want, and then a timeline of where you want it by. And then when you look at the project you're in, you go, is this move, are we moving in the direction of that? Are we moving in the direction of my vision and the timeline I have
yes,
in mind? Or is it, or am I so far off that? And what is my quit date? Like kind of that's
yeah.
the framework.
Yeah, do a bit of ceiling in terms of if you don't hit this by this time, it's not worth your time, basically. And
Yeah.
I want it to be short, like so set crazy goals in a shorter time frame, maybe a quarter, 3 months, six
Okay.
months, or so like that. Not
Especially at early stage.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the project. Some require a bit more gestation, etc. But if you can try to compress the timeline as short as possible, the most precious thing in your life is time. Then health and all those things basically like it comes
Mm-hmm.
together. But you can't just say like, you know what, I'm gonna do 5 years of my life in this. So
Yeah.
if 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 for example
I mean, that's
you
what, five
I
years,
mean
like
if you
6% of your life, like, or something.
and you never know because like let's say for
Yeah.
example, Ben, if you want to be the number one podcaster in the world, uh realistically speaking, can it be done in 5 years? Basically. Uh, that,
Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah,
no,
no, I get what you mean though. Right. I get
but
what you
set
mean.
yeah. So set like let's say not best forecaster, but set a milestone. Am I trending towards that at this time? And once you hit the
Yeah,
milestone, you realize you're hitting milestones and you're not sacrificing too much. Basically, it doesn't. There's two types of failures.
yeah,
Failure that's sink and the failures that actually guide you through. As long as it's not sinking you, it's
yeah.
not destroying you. Yeah. But by all means.
And
Bezos has a
then
way of thinking about it. It's like you can actually. I think Amazon Prime was actually a project that everyone hated. Bezos like, you know what, try it and do it, and it doesn't sink, and it now generates so much money for
yeah,
Amazon.
yeah, exactly. And I guess when you're looking at you got to think about the leading and lagging indicators. Because if I was to take it back to that the suggestion you said that like I want to be the best podcast host ever. Um, I mean, I've done like 20 or like 15, 16 episodes, and I've actually seen growth. But if I had done 16 episodes and not really seen any growth or really
Yeah.
low growth, that would be like a pretty good indicator that, hey, it's probably not going to happen in this format. So yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. And Daniel, what do you do now? Like, what are you doing these days? How does someone get in touch with you? How does someone want to learn from the wise man who knows when to give up?
No, I don't. I won't say the wise man, but you can always find me on Instagram or find me on my community. Our community is bit.ly/NextUpAsia. On Cerventus on everything else, so you find me on Cerventus. So busy with mostly A deal making, but at the same time, there's a burgeoning AI community called Build with AI that we are working on with our dear friend Andre. Essentially giving no excuse for entrepreneurs to say like, hey, I don't have the money to build my MVP or etc. And that is the mindset like with AI. It's like, look, I think the term is called strategic give up. Build it, test it,
Mm,
have your benchmark, doesn't hit your benchmark, give up and move on to the next thing. Because the cost of failure is so low these days.
yeah. But the power of a good lesson. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on the pod, man. Second
No,
time,
no.
we'll definitely get you on again in the future. Yeah.
Anytime, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you. Thank you.